and now finally to Excel 2003. Pick up the file. To zoom in so you guys can see it better on the video. Type the name, student. So right justify these labels so it's easier to handle. We're going to name these ranges, and you'll see what I mean in a second if you haven't watched the other videos or the other parts of the video. Insert, name, create. It sees the labels X, Y in the top rows. Don't change anything here, just hit OK. And now the range of X's is called X in the name box, and the range of Y's is called Y in the name box. Okay, and we can use those X, Y in our calculations. We'll need labels for cells for sum squares of X, sum squares of XY, sum squares of Y, beta had 1, beta had 0, or beta 0. I get the correlation next as part of the homework. CORR instead of R, because Excel doesn't like R. T calc from the correlation coefficient, and then a critical value to compare it to, so that we can use named values. I'm going to mark that range there. Insert, name, create. It sees the labels in the left column, so hit OK. So this now is S of XX. This is S of YY, and we can use those in our formula. Sum of squares of X is equal to, and we can now use the named values. The sum of the X's, see the X range light up when I typed it, X's squared. Alright, let me move the cursor out of the way so you can see it. Alright, so that's X shift 6 to get that caret sign times then the 2, close that, minus n, don't have a value for n, so we'll just use the count of the x's or count of the y's, times x bar squared. X bar is the average x squared. Okay, now remember, don't hit enter, do not hit enter, hold the shift and control keys down, hit enter, and you'll get that. Hit F2 and you get that back again. If you hit enter, you'll get that function. Okay, F2, shift, control, enter, and you get the right value. Sum of squares of xy is the sum of the x times y, close parentheses, minus n, and then we'll do the count of the x's, times x bar, y bar. X bar is the average x, times y bar is the average y. Again, shift, control, enter. SYY, sum squares of y, equals the sum of the y's squared, close parentheses, minus n, count of the x's, times y bar squared. Y bar is the average y squared. Again, shift, control, enter. Alright, beta 1, beta had 1 now is easy. It's the sum squares of xy, sxy, divided by the sum squares of x, s of xx. Right? As you type those, you see the cells light up. Enter. Don't have to hit shift, control, enter. Beta hat 0, y bar minus beta hat 1 times x bar. Y bar is the average y, minus beta 1, instead of beta hat 1, times x bar, average x. Okay, again you can hit enter. Now we're ready to get the correlation. Correlation is, the formula is over there on the right, is equal to sxy, sum squares of xy, divided by the square root of s of xx times syy, close parentheses. Alright, my beta had 1, the slope was negative, so my correlation is negative, very strong negative correlation. T-calc, used CORR instead of R for my named range here because Excel, at least 2003, doesn't like R as a named range for some reason. So CORR divided by the square root, and the square root has numerator and denominator within it, so we'll have two parentheses. First, 1 minus the correlation squared. Make sure your square is inside the correlation, inside the parentheses. Divided by n minus 2, divided by open parentheses count for the n, the x's. Alright, that's the n minus 2, close parentheses for the denominator under the square root, close parentheses. Alright, you'll see the parentheses change colors and stuff, and this is handy. Yeah. Again, hit enter. With a negative correlation, negative slope, we get negative t value. Critical value of t in Excel, the function for that is t inverse, probability 5% for two-tail, degrees of freedom. Again, we'll do the count of the x's minus 2, close parentheses, and the critical t value is 3.18. You can look at the t calc is beyond plus or minus 3.18, and therefore it's significant, but I want you to tell me that and use an Excel formula. The easiest way to do that is the if formula. So it's condition or logical test, as Excel calls it. If the absolute value of t calc, absolute function strips the minus sign off, if that's greater than the critical value, in other words, if t calc is beyond plus or minus the critical values, then want the word significant to appear. If it was false for your particular data set, which could be true, then we want the word insignificant to show up. Close parentheses. Of course, this is significant. It shows up just to show you that formula works. Alright, if your t calc was within the critical values, then you would say insignificant. And hit Control Z to get that back to where it was. Alright, so that's the t-test part. The last part is to draw the scatter diagram with the regression line. So mark the x's and y range, hits the chart wizard, or go to insert chart, same idea. We want the scatter diagram, hit finish, and we'll clean it up. I'm going to clean up this series, mark it, clear, going to get rid of the grid line here, get rid of the background. Don't like the background, you might like it, I don't care for it. Alright, a couple more things to go. Hit any one of these dots on the scatter diagram, right click, add trend line, go to options, display equation on chart, and Excel puts the regression equation on the chart. Alright, we know what the values were. I do not want you to type this in. Okay, I want you to let Excel put that there. Alright, then you save it and send it to me. Again, when you're sending it to me, email a copy to yourself so you have a copy of or verification of what time it was sent. Alright, and that's the end of Excel homework number 2.